Welcome to AP Biology. Today's presentation is going to be on species, populations, and adaptations. So what is a species? So a species is a group of individuals that can interbreed successfully with one another and produce fertile offspring. So each one of these species of mockingbirds on the picture is a different species of mockingbird, and they all interbreed successfully with one another, but not across species. A population is going to be members of the same species that live in the same area. So here's an African population of wildebeest. They're all living in the same area. They all have the possibility to produce offspring with one another. And so this would be considered a population. It's important to remember as we go through evolution that populations can evolve, but individuals cannot. Individuals are born with whatever characteristics they're going to have, and they don't change over time. But populations can change over time because certain individuals are born with better characteristics that might be selected for, and other individuals are born with less successful characteristics that might be selected against. I like this cartoon. Mom, why does brother's beak look different than mine? I've always worried you'd ask about this one day. It's a secret, so you can't tell anyone, but your brother is adapted. Got to be there. So speciation is going to be the formation of new species based on basically organisms being in different locations and adapting to different characteristics. So they start as the same organism, but then the populations get split apart and then they adapt to different characteristics. And if they do this for a long enough period of time, they can no longer interbreed with one another, and we call them new species. So, what are some characteristics you might adapt to? Well, one of the things we see adaptations towards in the Galapagos finches was towards the diet that was available. And so, in some of the islands where it's more rainforesty, there were a lot of insects. And so, warbler finches were super successful. And they developed tiny little beaks for picking insects off branches, grabbing them in the air. But these little beaks were like little forceps where they could grab the insects really easily. Another species that adapted in these environments that were more tropical were the berry pickers. So they had beaks that were kind of normal looking for a bird, um, not real robust, just a regular normal looking beak, but they're real good for picking berries off of plants. And then we see the cactus finch. Cactus finch has a really long beak. It protrudes pretty far away from its face, and so it can reach deep down into the cactus flowers to get to the nectar. And then we see the ground finches with a huge, robust beak used for cracking spiny nuts, like this one you see right here. Um, these are difficult to break open. I had to use a hammer to break it open, but their beaks are very good at crushing these nuts open and getting the seeds that are inside of them. And all of these different types of beaks adapted in different locations on different islands. And because the islands have different environments, which we'll talk about later, you needed different beaks on the different islands.